Welcome. I am Crime Queen, and if you are joining us for the first time, it's the channel where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. So this is where we activate actualizing self-full love characteristics or nutrition or whatever it is that helps us to actualize self love. We are delving into the scriptures of Genesis in particular, and of course, we may make reference to other scriptural verses as we go along and in what is appropriate. But basically, we've been discovering loads of wonderful things in the Holy Bible, Genesis, chapter 1 and 2. And so when we say it's lovely, it's that it presents, it offers some answers. For instance, discovering that there are 14 gods or 14 whether they were mini gods or inputs or conditions, however you want to put it, in all creation, the creation of mankind as we know it. Now, before I go on, I do want to say that we are not the first species. We are not the first man. We are not as we have learned in the Bible. Now, I have come across a couple other people who have said this, and actually and that was before, or was it before? I have to be quite honest. Anyway, but my whether it's before or after finding out, what I have seen is that I have taken the notion that I like to see for myself and delve in the scriptures for myself. And this is when I discovered that there are 9 gods in Genesis of chapter 1 and 5 gods in Genesis of chapter 2, which in actual fact, I have not heard anyone put it this way, not in this exact number. And this is why I am saying that. It also coincides with the 9 gods in chapter 1, for instance, coincides with the 8 planets that are visible to us, the 8 planets that surrounds the sun, or 8 planets. And that's, of course, including Uranus, which is due to enter the 2nd house, which is Taurus, in May of 2018. And I'm no astrologer, but this is my hand-down knowledge, we could say. Now that coincides, the 8th, which coincides, and it coincides beautifully because it coincides with the 8th entry of Mother Eve, who is the spokesperson. We could say who predicts what is to be as well. So here we see that we have 8 entries, where in Genesis of chapter 1, and I have to confirm whether the 8th one is also in Genesis of chapter 1. It may be in Genesis of chapter 2 to be precise. And where it's she says, "Let there be light." Of course, we all know that. Let there be light, and there was light. So it was really the feminine God who had been deemed evil, who is also the waters spoken of in Genesis of chapter 1 verse 2, who said, "Let there be light." Now that's a new thing on me, because I was very surprised when I encountered this revelation, and I must say wonderfully surprised too, because we have seen, and it's not to knock anything or discredit anything, but we have been at the peak of the divine masculine creativity, and now it is high time that we have this the combination of the divine feminine to counterbalance our existence. So this is something very wonderful to celebrate. I hope you see what I mean. So on the second entrance is where she says, let there be a firmament to divide the waters, of course. And the third is let the waters divide the waters. So I'll just go for them. Let the earth, which is number 4, bring forth fruit or grass, whatever it was, after its kind. I haven't got the full sentences here. I just have the common the common denominator of the references. And then we have there, let there be lights, which is number 5. Now 5, as we know, is the number of Eve, the number of Christ, the number for pineal gland, the number of Kundalini, the number which I wonderfully found out, it's the number of the pyramid. Oh my, that really resonates so beautifully with me, because we have found out that the pyramid, which has the A, I have done this math, the A in the middle of the word coincides with the A in the middle of the heart. Now, doesn't that say something? Doesn't that tell us exactly what we are meant to be doing? Fixing our internal pyramid. This is just the most delicious thing that I have discovered. You know, the fascination and attraction with the pyramid that has been going on for eons. Now we are talking about the heart. It's in the heart. So then number 6 now, which is where we are created, we learn that we are 70-80% waters. But my spiritual insights is that men are 90% water and female are 100% water. However, the other measurements are out there and scientifically structured or whatever it is. I am going by my spiritual guidance that there is one which is 90% water, the male, and the female is 100% water. Now that makes sense as well, because we are talking about number 10. 1 plus 9 is 10. And we are also talking about the numerical template. Now, it's while I am saying this, because as I say, I usually do work intuitively and go by the guidance, because I'm getting messages, whether I'm on here or wherever. So we see that female, which also coincides with the serpent, because Mother Eve is the serpent. Mother Eve is the serpent that's been in the Garden of Eden. Now, of course, the Garden of Eden, we are the Garden of Eden. This is another thing. We are taking this perception of the story all external instead of coming back within. We are required to go within with this now. We are required to examine ourselves. Where is the tree of good and evil, or the tree of knowledge? It's within us. And Christ said that whatever the answer you seek is within. Within. Now, back to the word within, is that this is what really struck my attention to delve. I was reading Genesis of chapter 1 and verse 1, which I have been doing perhaps for 3 years. Of course, perhaps not every day, but this is what I'm thinking, that like an introduction, it must have the overall essence of what it means and what it is saying. And I saw that the first verse, of course, tells you everything. And the second verse, of course, which is crucial, because the number 2 is that which marries, that which is partnership, that which is engaging. So in that way, it must be inviting us to tell us what it's all about, because we are part of this. And if we were to ask ourselves, for instance, well, what is the purpose of the Bible? Is it a manual? If it is a manual, well, let's study that manual. Where are the modules, the instructions? And this is what I had been delving with. So, of course, there I discovered that really in Genesis of chapter 1 verse 2, there the waters, which is Mother Eve. Mother Eve is the mother of all living. Now we get that reference later on with Adam. So let's not stray too much with the points that I want to really make about just keeping things in context. So we have the serpent, which is, as I say, 100% water. Now, whatever form this water comes in, because we can see water comes as in solid, and it comes in vapor, and it comes as liquid. So basically, this is what we are dealing with here. So it is that element that comes in 3 different ways, 3 different forms. So isn't that really something? That 3 different forms, that's the snake. At one moment, it wants to be realized. It wants you to recognize its existence, so it becomes solid. And in the other, it is liquid. Another time, you just feel its presence in the vapor. Not that you can really touch it. You can see perhaps the vapor rising, or it may come back as raindrops, but you know, it has that camouflage effect. That's Mother Eve. That is Mother Eve, and that's the divine feminine. So the 100% water. And of course, men, hair on that spectrum is 90% water, which is what the female births out. She births out the 90% water. And she, of course, the 10%, she holds that for her integrity. It is the secret, of course, of the 10% that makes her able to do all this camouflage, and she's not giving it away. She can't give it away. It belongs to that sacred part of her being, that sacred part of her nurturing. So basically, I'm just filled with so much to say, but this is what we are meant to be looking into, and the excitement I have around this is so wonderful. So as I was saying, Uranus is entering into Taurus, the 2nd house, in May 15th of May 2018, and that is again coinciding with what I began to say, is that it's coinciding with the 9 planets, because the other planet that had not, or that is not regarded as a planet as such because of its size, oh, I do feel sorry for it. It's Pluto. So Pluto, of course, had been discovered, was it 1930? I think it is 1930. I am trying to remember now. I'm going to have to study my thing by some Clyde Jimbo. I got it. I'm getting my memory going. Clyde Jimbo. So, and because I've got to do the numerical value on that name as well. Yes. So basically, we see that with even the year that he would have discovered that equaled the number 13, 1930. So 1 plus 9 is 10, and 10 plus 3 is 13. Now, haven't I been going about the number 13? This is where things happen. It's the incubator. It's the number 13 that forms the bee. So basically, his discovery with Pluto formed that bee. Whenever you are interacting with something, you are that thing in that moment. So that would be number 13. Now 1 plus 3 is 4. Of course, when we add, and Pluto is 21, which is 3. So 3 plus 4 becomes 7. So basically we have 7 there, and now we have, so it's like the message really is that we need to get our Pluto polished and really looking wonderful and accepting of our Pluto. That means a rebirth. That means cleansing of ourselves, getting ourselves into action, getting ourselves in preparation for a grand finale, we could say, because we are coming to the end of the 7th cycle. It is a 7th cycle, which also coincides with that we are ending a cycle. We are of 6. Again, I get my messages from divine guidance. We are a makeup of 6 species of human, we could say, of 6, whether it was a laboratory devised like now we see Sophia, whether it was whatever it was that was done. We were in a realm or a era where it was also said, as we see with the pattern, let us make man. So of course we see what had happened, that another god who Mother Eve had led the business to, because there were eight gods here in this section. So the 8 gods that Mother Eve had led the business to, on the 8th one, who went about doing, he actually made 5 different species of humankind, which all look like us, but 5 different. So he done in his own image and likeness. Now there is a word that is very crucial that we need to pay attention to. We have heard it all the time, and I have not heard, yes, once I heard about perhaps there had been fights, but there we are seeing, I have seen for myself, in through the scriptures, the word own is that when you own something, is that there had to be a time when you did not own it. So that meant there was a winning, a fight, a war, a battle, or a baton or bantam. It's that there were people, so basically there were the struggles, or if one were to put in for a contract, for instance. So Mother Eve had this, and she says, yes, I want to do all of those things. And some people would have to, I'm trying to remember the proper word, but they put in their proposal to have the contract to create this thing. So for instance, if you wanted to refurbish your home or something, and you have these contractors come in, and then you make a choice, because of course you go through and you see their credentials and who can produce XYZ. And it was exactly something like that. In essence, all the things that we are experiencing right now is the same seed of that which has been planted within us. Hence it is said there is nothing new under the sun. So those were characteristics of the gods that had made us, that has now evolved through us, whether we are happy, whether we are sad, whether we like something or not. It is all that sort of thing that had been going on. So basically with Mother Eve now, we see that, as I say, we are on this 8th, and Pluto now is a god who is going to, that marries with Uranus now, meaning that they are the 9 planets, which equals the 9 gods that I am talking about in Genesis. Now, I would love to be able to say exactly which one, whether it was the made god, whether it was the formed god, which one of the planets is coinciding, for example, with the made god or the said god or the planting god, the god of planting, or the god. So I'm really loving this, because I had heard about the Bible being an astrological concept or book, but but I had not been able to see the correlation or see that for myself. Now, as much as it is, I'm also believing that there doesn't mean to say that it doesn't apply to us planting in our garden, because there in the garden, as I have done my own gardening as well, I have seen how the Garden of Eden in the story plays out to be one of the most effective kind of teaching anyone can have by having a garden. So, of course, you have to water it, you have to trim it, you have to take up the weeds, and you have all these aspects of it are really what we need ourselves. So back to the other 5 gods in Genesis of chapter 2 now coincides very closely with the 5 planets that which we not the 5 planets, I mean, is the 5 elements. So we are talking about water, fire, air, earth, and ether. So these are the 5. So 5 plus 9 is 14. Now I'm going to take the opportunity to really say, and perhaps as much as I can, because I am embracing something so phenomenal, that we are talking about 14. And today I remembered something really beautiful. I am trying to check the time so to see how much, yes, so I can say this. So I have seen such strong correlation with my life and this journey that I am on, because we are talking numbers. Now, this is meant to be 23 here. I believe you can see this, and let's just turn, yeah, so you can see. This is 23, and of course there's Father Adam really paying attention and listening to what I'm saying, and of course I have his support. So with the numbers and the correlations, so I discovered, of course, my first name has a numerical value of 23. Of course, when I did that 23, it wasn't with that conscious awareness of that there was that link, because it is through my presentations and getting the characteristic of the number 3, which seem to be so vibrant, which seem to want to be recognized, that I related to and I kind of identified with. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't. I do, because my expression number is 3. And so, of course, which is a number of creativity and communication, etc. So that's what I did. And after a while, and I can't remember exactly how long, but then I did the number 2. So the number 2, of course, then it was 32. It was 32 for a while till they accidentally fell down, and without bothering, I just put it up and I saw it was 23, and I thought perhaps I should not change it around. It's like Spirit said, just leave it. And I just did. I am learning to listen to Spirit, so it's just wonderful. And so after a while, it's like everywhere I go, and every time I look at the clock or something, or a receipt, or a bus number, 23 was just talking to me. And I met people who would say, oh, yeah, it's my birthday today, and it happens to be the 23rd, or there's a 23 on their t-shirt, or something like that. It was just really wild. So I thought, this 23, it's like it's so audible, just talking to me. And so I began paying more attention and asking Spirit, well, what am I meant to be making of this? What is it? And so, of course, as I say, I know I have many 5s. I've got 3 5s in my date of birth. And I am of 14 children. So when we add 1 and 4, 1 plus 4 is 5. And I'm also the 5th child. So there's another thing. And then I'm also with number 8 now. My life path number is 8, and I am the 8th daughter of on my dad's side. Now that's the thing I was talking about, Pluto. I have said that in other presentations, but I probably will have to just keep that in a few presentations so you can see how the connection of what it is that I am conveying here is that it is divinely inspired. So basically, Pluto, as I say, becomes the 14th, and Pluto is that which had been rejected. Now, I am of 14 children, and of course, being of a different father, I went through that cycle of feeling rejected. And of course, I have now, through my journey of the Crimson Light, 2 volumes that I wrote, I now fully feel accepted. Now, that was only, oh, that is wonderful. I'm just thinking that was 2 years ago. So, and it's as it happens, the book was published in May 31st, I believe. And the second volume was perhaps on June the 1st. And the other thing is, I've never known anyone to publish 2 books one day apart from each other. I have not known it, but that's what spirit does. That's what spirit does. So there it is. Wow, I've just got it. So wow, sometimes these things, the synchronicities are so striking that it almost makes me a little bit fearful, but I have to just hold myself up and say, relax, it's okay, you're right. The 5th, so the first book was published on the 5th month, which is May, the 31st. The 31st, of course, would be 3 plus 1 is 4. So we are talking that it would come into this equation here, or this equation, which is development. And of course, it was for my personal development. And the second book was on the 6th month, which is June. And I believe it was the 1st of June, 2016. So these are numbers. 2016 would be, it was a 9-year, 9 and 3. June would be 9, and June is 6, so that would be 10. So basically 9 and 6 is 15, and of course if it's the 1st, so we are talking 15, 16. Okay, I'm going to have to take time and work this out, but it was the 6th year, 6th month. So 1 is the 5th month, 1 is the 6th month, and it's in the new section. That's what I mean about being divinely guided. I had not noticed that. And I am talking about going through this new cycle. Of course, I had a Kundalini experience, but that was in 2013. Of course, 13, we are talking about 2013. That would be number 6 there again, because 2 plus... anyway, all right. It's a 6th year. 2013 is a 6th year. So basically, I had found myself, and I'm just doing this now. That's what I mean about the numbers have been they are such strong correlations. The other thing that I remembered this morning, so I'm talking about my journey here of actualizing self-love. This is the topic of my book. I'll just show you. So this is volume 1 by Crime Queen, The Crimson Light, a bridge to actualizing self-love, a book to actualize. And there is the second volume, Getting Onto the Bridge of Actualizing Self-Love. I am just feeling very proud and very wonderful about that now. So I'm being mindful of the time because I really want to have a better ending than having this just stopping on me and not knowing where I'm at. Now, So I come from a family of 14, and as I say, of course, I'm feeling accepted now because I had these 2 volumes. Oh my. I am feeling so we are talking about 2 volumes. We are talking about Uranus and Pluto. So that is what we are saying. Getting our Pluto, Pluto is like that which was rejected, is the stone that had been rejected, is the stone that the builder rejected, has to become the chief cornerstone. So it is like Christ again. Christ who was crucified, when we have to accept Christ back after the death, after the death and being resurrected. Now we need to accept Christ. Now when I say accept Christ, in my way of accepting Christ is really activating my kundalini, which is what I've done, but it doesn't mean you just stop there. It's a journey. That is that death that you go through. You need to die of the lower gratifications and the lower urges and the habits that does not serve you. It is necessary to have a foundation. It is necessary to create the art of habits. So of course this is what we learn as when we are young. We develop the habit of going to sleep every night or eating a certain time every day. Those things are foundational and they are necessary. So the habit that we had cultivated through our childhood was so necessary that some things, of course, have now become, it has built a faith that we don't have to learn how to breathe anymore. We're not learning how to eat anymore. We are not learning how to apply those habits. But now we can say, okay, I know how to hold my breath under the waters for 20 seconds. I know how to do that now. So next time I take a dive, I am more relaxed. So these are the things we're talking about. But back to the numbers. So basically today now I was remembering. Now, I was born here in London, and I was taken back. Again, we are talking about that migration like Christ had done. So where Christ was conceived, as we learn, he was conceived. He had to go to Bethlehem to be born. Okay, and I was conceived in St. Lucia, and then my mother, of course, had to come to London, and then I was born in London. Now, that is not a unique story. That happens to a lot of people, but I'm just saying the synchronicities altogether makes it so beautiful for me. Then the other thing, because Christ, the name of Christ, when we do the numerical value for Christ, it also equals 5. So this is what we are talking about. So for me now, the Christ is the kundalini. The Christ is getting, and Christians tell you that when you are in Christ, you are a new creature. The kundalini is a snake, and this is number 5. When we do the numerical value for the word snake, it equals 5. When we do the numerical value for the word kundalini, it equals 5. Or pineal gland, it equals 5. So this is what we are talking about. Now, I may have to do a second presentation on this, but let me yap on with what I'm saying here. Now, St. Lucia, there's another thing that happened. Oh my, this is, wow. That tells me something very phenomenal. Wow. The knowledge of all what I'm saying has been known for so long. It is really wow. So I've got to do this wow, because the synchronistic thing is that the British and the French fought over St. Lucia 14 times. 14 times that St. Lucia exchanged hands between the British and the French. Now, I have been wondering, why would these two countries fight 14 times over a small island? And I was wondering, what is it about St. Lucia that I'm repeating this? What sacredness? What is this that tells me that the two countries know something very special about that island, that they would fight so of 14 times, exchange hands 14 times, exchange hands. We are saying hands, and that's the word that is used, hands, which is 9. 9 is, so we can see how the language itself is telling us so much. Now, I think there's the twin pitons, which I call it the breast. There's the Passover, like a female. So symbolically, the island has 2 breasts, like a mother would have 2 breasts to feed. Now, of course, didn't they feed off the island? They did. But like Mother Eve is returning now and saying, I want to see the papers. When? Because she lets these contracts. They are not freehold. In fact, to some extent, they what has been given to us was free, but not the contractors. The gods, they are not free. They have to tally their paperwork. They have to tally things, because each time they did something, this is what I also found out in Genesis of chapter 1. The God who bless, that's the blessed God. To bless is to take something away, or to make something absent. That is bless. Be blessed. That is, and then Mother Eve had also said in 2 Timothy, that's Tim, he said, I have not given you the spirit of fear, but the spirit of sound mind. Because the one that is blessed is like giving you an invitation of fear. I'm taking this away. It's like meaning is offering you a sense of lack. That is what has happened. And that is what has happened even in the Black society that has been so enriched with everything that Mother Eve had given. But because something is taken away, they are left with the sense of feeling lack. So this is where I say the word be black is like saying be lack. So be lack in essence is synonymous with like saying bless, be blessed. So this is what I have been doing here. So the bee, because the beehive has been taken away. The beehive has been infiltrated. The beehive has been abused. The beehive, which is where I call it the incubator. So those things have been taken away to make one feel less. And Mother Eve is saying, the spirit of sound mind, which is also in the heart, because the air, H-E-A-R-T, the word E-A-R is in the middle of heart, and that's what she wants us to listen to. So I have been saying, and I'm still going to have a little peep of the time to ensure we're okay, because I'm really enjoying this. And so with the numbers, we see that St. Lucia, I'm going to have to write about this. Of course, and that is something to write about. So my first name is 23, and of course, there's so much more to it. I have 3 5s, which is 15, 3 5s, which is 15 in my date of birth, and that 15 comes here. It comes right here. It is under the L, which is for elation. So I'm coming from the developmental stage here. In fact, I have done my whole 9 miles because I have, like they would say, repented from my sins. I have replenished my soul. Hence, I am talking about actualizing self full love. That is when you have replenished. You are not, even if something is taken away, it doesn't bother you because you know you are the source. You are the source. Okay. So 3 5s are 15, and that's the new. And then I come to understand that the S here, which coincides with the 5th, which is Mother Eve again, the 5th letter has an I. This is what we do intuitively. This was all intuitively done. And here with the sacrifice. I mean, I would love to just connect my first video when I did this to which I did live like we're doing now, like I'm doing now, because it's intuitively done, and see that the I and 5 comes to 14. I'm not even sure that I'd already made that connection, but 9, I is 9, and it's also 8. And that's why some people have used that I-E-Y-E, which is the 8th one, to really do their business in this section. That the 8th one goes into that section, and of course we see 9 and 5 is 14. There's the 9 here. Isn't that delicious? Isn't that delicious? This is where it is said wisdom is so sweet to the soul. I don't know how the words go, but it is truly delicious. And so back to the numbers, and of course number 8 as well, as I say, is my life path number. Number 3 that I had been going on about is my expression number, and I have the 2 somewhere in my numbers, but 2 somehow I have to keep going over my numbers to remember where 2 is, because 2 is everything anyway, everywhere. And so 14, and of course number 10, which coincides with the snake as well. So number 10, as I said, we talk about the planets, the 9 planets, and of course we have the 5 elements, which all come to 14. But there was something, oh yes, the female being 100% water and men being 90. Of course, that brings me right here. Right here we are the jazz. Of course, so appropriately, we are the dancers. In fact, there is something very phenomenal about dancers, because dancers are vibrations. I was gonna say vibrators. Well, that too. So, and that is Mother Eve. I think I should end on this note, and do join me again, because this is just truly wonderful. And I hope you get the essence of what I'm saying. But the message is that we need to get our house ready, particularly people who are in Taurus or earth signs and water signs too, because waters, you know, all those things that are happening, whatever it is, it's all in planetary sync. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us on the Crimey Queens channel. In fact, I hope you like my crown as well. These are my beads, and I just thought it's time. Well, it's all spiritually guided, and I'm just feeling like a real royal today. Thank you. Oh, do share and subscribe. And of course, as I say, we are planting new seeds. So spill over with love. Namaste.